International organizations continue to raise concerns about the floating threat of safer oil tanker anchored near the coast of Yemen on the Red Sea. The United Nations has proposed a plan to avert the threat of the decaying supertanker, but more funding is still needed to meet the plan. This report has more details.
Sulfur oil tanker has had nearly no maintenance since the start of Yemen's devastating war 8 years ago. The oil tanker is located on a vital coast, and the Red Sea is under looming threat of a massive oil spill from the aged Yemeni tanker. The Houthi militia controls Hodeidah, which is the port closest to the ship. They are using safer oil tanker as a bargaining ship, and they are not complying with the UN efforts to prevent the disaster. Yet, the UN's plans to avert the disaster have stalled also for the lack of funding. The abandoned oil tanker is used as an oil storage facility, which is now turning to be a floating environmental catastrophe waiting to happen. The vessel that could break apart or explode at any moment holds more than 1 million barrels of crude oil. This environmental disaster could be prevented, but there are about $80 million fund needed to fix it. The oil could be transferred in 4 to 5 months from the sulfur oil tanker to a temporary vessel. Once a long-term storage vessel is found, the oil could be transferred again. According to the UN negotiations, the Houthi militia agreed in March this year to the first stage oil transfer and signed a memorandum of understanding. The document isn't legally binding. However, there is a doubt whether the Houthis will keep the agreement. In the past, the Houthis have several UN attempts to inspect or repair the vessel, or called off interventions at the last minute. An oil spill from the sulfur will restrict food aid for millions of people in Yemen by disturbing access to the ports of Hodeidah. And without the needed aid, lives could be at stake.